What's going on, card family? Yankees Jets fan 71 back with another video. So today I just wanted to do a binder showcase as my first video for 2026. I do want to wish everyone a happy new year. Hope you guys had a wonderful New Year's Eve, and I hope the new year so far is going well for each and every one of you. So basically, this is my Topps Yankees flagship team set run from the 50s through the 80s. Now, not a lot of cards in here, or not as much as I'd like there to be. So there's a lot of sets that need to be filled, some sets that aren't even in here. I'm missing a lot of the 50s and 60s sets. So without further ado, let's just take a quick look at what I do have. Here's a 57 Muscaurin, 59 Cletus Boyer, 1960 Muscaurin, a 1960 rookie star Bill Short, and a 1960 Tony Kubek, which was a recent pickup. 61, I got Bill Short, Bill Stafford, Ryan Duran. 62, I have no 62 Topps cards. I do have this Mickey Mantle as a placeholder for the 62 set because I'm not going to be able to afford a 62 Mantle anytime soon. So one of my goals is to fill cards with replicas or remakes of that particular set to fill the holes that I'm not going to be able to afford. So it's going to be a lot of the Mantles in this one, and they're the 60s. This is, I believe, 62, or 63 rather. It's a Stan Williams. He's in his Los Angeles Dodgers hat, but it says right there, NY Yankees, if you can see past the glare. 64, I have a Bob Daly and Al Downing, Jim Bouton cards. 65, my favorite set of the 60s. I have in 1964 batting leaders card with two Hall of Famers, Antonio Oliva and Brooks Robinson. But the card here for me is Elston Howard, the player rather. Pete Mickelson, Jim Bouton, who actually this past year I just finished reading Ball 4, which is, I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was the great book that everyone was saying, only because I had read so much baseball books before it, and I knew a lot of the stuff he already had written in his book. So that's why I didn't think it was all that spectacular. I thought it was a good read though. But maybe if I had read that years ago, I would have thought more highly of it, if that makes any sense. Duke Caramel, Johnny Blanchard, and Tony Kubek. 66, I just picked this up the other day. This is a Joe Pepitone card. I don't have, actually I do have 167 rookie leaders, Bill Robinson and Joe Varabanek, I believe that's how you pronounce it. Don't have any 68 Topps. Couple of 69s, Fred Talbot, Horace Clarke, who unfortunately, I feel bad for Horace Clarke, but he's the one that they point to for the Yankee down years. It's always the Horace Clarke years. I always felt bad for the guy. It wasn't his fault that the Yankees stunk during those years. It was the ownership, which was CBS at the time. Got a Jakes Gibbs. Now we go on to 1970. Got Kurt Belfray, Steve Hamilton, Horace Clarke, and a Mil Stottlemyre scratch-off piece. 71, which is a set I really want to finish up because it's the year of my birth. Got a Mil Stottlemyre. We got Thurman Munson, which was one of my favorite pickups of this past year. Even though the condition's not all there, but for what I paid for it, it's a binder card. I'm happy with it. John Ellis, Ron Klimovsky, Fred Tependino, who became a fireman afterward, Jack Acker, Kurt Belfray, 71 rookie stars of Lloyd Colson and Bobby Mitchell. Kind of El Benchos, never really heard of them after that, I guess. Steve Klein, Mike McCormick, and Gary Waleski. Move on to 1972 Topps. Got Yankee rookie stars, Roy White, who one of my favorite players growing up as a kid from the Yankees, Hal Lanier, and 71 batting leaders. Tony Oliva's on there, Bobby Mercer. Get rid of the glare, sorry about that. And Marv Retmund, I think is how you pronounce it. That's the 72. For 73, you have the facsimile autographed card, Ralph Houck manager card, Fritz Peterson, who I think we just lost this year, or was it last year? Salerno Sanchez, Sparky Lyle, Jim Ray Hart. Got a couple trades. No, that's for next year, rather. That's for actually Jim Ray Hart is also next year. It's for 74 Topps. Mike Hegan, Gene Michael. There's the Jimmy Ray Hart card. Steve Klein, Jerry Moses. Here's the traded cards: the Bill Sadakis, Jim Mason, and the Lou Piniella. Now we got to go on to the 75 Topps. You got a really well-loved Thurman Munson here. Roy White, Greg Nettles, Rudy May, George Doc Medic, Elliot Maddox, Bill Sadakis, Mike Wallace. Turn the page, we have Pat Dobson, Alex Johnson, who won a batting title, I believe, with Detroit, if I'm not mistaken. The most valuable player card with Maris and Robinson, and another one with Elston and Sandy Koufax. Move on to 76. You got the team card: Thurman, Roy White, Lou Piniella, Chris Chambliss, Rick Dempsey, Rich Coggins, Ron Blomberg, Ed Herman, Rudy May, Larry Gura, George Medic, Bobby Bonds, and a traded card of Mickey Rivers. This set means a lot to me because this was the first year I started watching baseball. So I'm always going to have love for the 76 set. 77 set. Now the 77, 78, and 79 sets might be a little mixed. I have to check the numbers because I think I might have some Burger King cards in here that don't go towards the flagship. But I'm still going to show them off anyway. Got a team card there with Billy Martin on the pennant. Mickey Rivers, Roy White, Paul Blair, Jim Wynn, Dick Tidrow, Fran Healy, Catfish Hunter, Thurman Munson, Carlos May, Ed Figueroa, Cesar Tovar, Don Gullett, Mike Torres, Doc Ellis, Sandy Alomar, Fred Stanley. The first game I ever watched as a kid was the Chris Chambliss home run game. I really need to upgrade this. This is pretty well loved. So now we go to 78 Topps. And you got the team card. Billy Martin, Greg Nettles, Sparky Lyle, well-loved one. Thurman, Ron Guidry, Ed Figueroa, the first Puerto Rican to win 20 games in the majors, I believe. Chris Chambliss, Willie Randolph, George Zerber, Paul Blair, Rich Gossage, Ken Clay. You have a 77 record breaker, most games pure relief lifetime. American League Championship Series card, Yankees rally to defeat the Royals. And a Reggie Jackson most home runs in one World Series card. Going on to 79, this is the set that means a lot to me because this was the first year I started collecting baseball cards as a kid. So we have the Bob Lemon Yankees team card, got a Reggie All-Star card, Roy White, Ron Guidry, Chris Chambliss, Willie Randolph, Jim Beattie, Paul Lindblad, Andy Messersmith, who was one of the guys who fought the reserve clause and won, Gary Thomason, Fred Stanley, Jim Spencer, Jay Johnstone, Willie Randolph, Thurman Munson's last card, because this was the year he unfortunately passed away, Cliff Johnson, Juan Beniquez, Catfish Hunter, Don Gullett, Ron Guidry, Rich Gossage, Mickey Rivers. There's another Thurman Munson card. So one of these is a Burger King and the other one actually is for the team set. Bucky Dent, Dick Tidrow, Roy White, Greg Nettles, well-loved Greg Nettles, Lou Piniella, Luis Tiant, Yes, he was a Yankee. Ed Figueroa, Yankee prospects with Brian Diet, Mike Heath, who became a catcher for the A's, Dave Rasich, who bounced around the league a bit, earned run leaders card with Ron Guidry and Craig Swan. I guess this is the saves card with Gossage and Fingers. Ron Guidry, American League record, most strikeouts left-handed hit by a left-hander in a ninth-inning game. I think he had 18 strikeouts against the California Angels in '78. He did win the Cy Young Award that year as well. Let's go to 1980. We got the team card. Goose, Guidry, Nettles, Luis Tiant, Bobby Mercer, Willie Randolph, Tommy John, Jim Beattie, Jim Spencer, Ed Figueroa, Bucky Dent, Don Gullett, Jerry Narron, Chris Chambliss, Roy White, Fred Stanley, future stars with Bobby Brown, not the singer, Brad Golden, and Darryl Jones, Sweet Lou, Oscar Gamble, Brian Doyle, Ken Clay, Ron Davis, who would become a really good closer with the Twins, George Scott, Juan Beniquez, Don Hood, AL earned run leaders with J.R. Richard and Ron Guidry. Actually, this is when the Astros were in the National League. My bad. Another set that means a lot to me because this was the first set I started buying with my own allowance is the 1981 Topps set. So we got team card, Tommy John, Bucky Dent, Doug Bird, Bobby Mercer, Lou Piniella, Tom Underwood, Fred Stanley, Johnny Oates, Eric Stotterholm, Brian Doyle, Willie Randolph, Ed Lafrabe, Ron Guidry, Bobby Brown, Rich Gossage, Greg Nettles, Ron Guidry, Rick Cerrone, Oscar Gamble, Jim Spencer, Rudy May, Luis Tiant, Aurelio Rodriguez, Mike Griffin, Bob Watson, Rupert Jones, earned run leaders card of Rudy May and Don Sutton, Rick Reichel, Gaylord Perry, and that's it for the 81 set. 1981 is always going to be a bittersweet year for me because not only was it the first year I started buying my own cards, it's also the year the Dodgers beat the Yankees in the World Series, so that's always going to be a memory that's not going to be a good one for me, just like the one a couple of years ago. We got the Yankees team card, I guess. Jerry Mumphrey with the batting average, and Tommy John with the ERA, the lowest ERA for the Yankees. Got Reggie All-Star, Ron Guidry, Willie Randolph, Dave Winfield, Dave Righetti, Bucky Dent, Lou Piniella, Tommy John, Rick Cerrone, Ron Davis, Bob Watson, Rudy May, Oscar Gamble, Jerry Mumphrey, Rick Reichel, Dave Werthmeister, Dennis Worth, George Frazier, who lost 3 games in that World Series, Aurelio Rodriguez, Gene Nelson, Larry Milbourne, Barry Foote, Dave Revering, Butch Weiniger, Roger Erickson. These are all guys I remember growing up watching. Dave Collins, Bobby Brown, Rich Gossage, Bobby Mercer, Dave LaRoche, Yankee future stars with Bye Bye Balboni, Andy McGraffin, and Andre Robertson, Willie Randolph, Bucky Dent, and Rich Gossage all-star cards. We also have the inactions of Bucky Dent. I love the inaction cards. Rich Gossage, Willie Randolph, Reggie, Ron Guidry, Greg Nettles, and we have an 81 highlights of Ron Davis striking out 8 in a row card. So we go on to 1983 now. Got the Jerry Mumphrey, another year he led the Yankees in batting with a 300 batting average rather. And Dave Righetti with a 3.79 ERA as the lowest. Yankees had good offense these years. They just didn't have any pitching. Ron Guidry, Dave Righetti, Rudy May, Bobby Mercer, Ken Griffey, Willie Randolph, Mike Morgan, Dave LaRoche, Dave Collins, Rudy May, Dave Winfield, Barry Foote, Andre Robinson, Oscar Gamble, John Maybury, Roy Smalley, who was my aunt's favorite Yankee, Jerry Mumphrey, George Frazier, Shane Rawley, Butch Weiniger, Steve Kemp, Don Baylor, Matt Keogh, Butch Hobson, Doyle Alexander, who I couldn't stand, Lee Mazzelli, Sweet Lou, Greg Nettles, Roger Erickson, Bye Bye Balboni, Rich Gossage, Rick Cerrone, Clyde King was the manager. You got I used to love these super veteran cards. So you have one of Greg Nettles, one of Bobby Mercer. Just shows the year they debuted up to that particular season in '83. I got a couple here of Rich Gossage as well and Dave LaRoche. So now we go on to 1984. I'm going to try to speed this up a bit because it's starting to get long. Got the team card, Billy Martin, Dave Righetti, Larry Milbourne, Matt Keogh, Steve Kemp, John Montefusco, Dale Murray, Willie Randolph, Butch Weiniger, Steve Balboni, Lou Piniella, Dave Winfield, Andre Robertson, Greg Nettles, Shane Rawley, Don Baylor, Bobby Meacham, Ray Fontenot, Michael Berry. I don't remember a Michael Berry. Bert Campaneris, George Frazier, Ken Griffey Sr., Roy Smalley, Rudy May, Oscar Gamble, and Rich Gossage. Rick Cerrone, Ron Guidry, Omar Moreno. Got all-star cards of Ron Guidry and Dave Winfield. I got highlights card because all three of these pitchers pitched a no-hitter. And you got the active career cards here. I'm just not going to go through them because I'm trying to speed it up. But there's Reggie right in the middle. And you got a couple more active career leaders cards here. So now we go to 1985. Willie Randolph, Donnie Baseball, Rick Cerrone, Steve Kemp, Oscar Gamble, Ron Guidry, John Montefusco, Dale Murray, Bob Shirley, Mike Pagliarulo, Dave Righetti, Clay Christensen, Marty Bystrom, Toby Harrah, Andre Robertson, Tim Foley, Brian Dayette, Jay Howell, who would be a better closer with the Dodgers, Ray Fontenot, Dennis Rasmussen, Omar Moreno, Joe Cowley, Bobby Meacham. So that's the 85 set. 1986, team leaders, Lou Piniella as the manager, Don Mattingly, Ken Griffey, Dave Winfield, Ron Guidry, Willie Randolph, Dave Righetti, Don Baylor, Butch Weiniger, Claudel Washington, Gary Renicky, Ron Hassey, Mike Easler, Bob Shirley, Rod Scurry, Joe Cowley, Ed Whitson, Bobby Meacham, Neil Allen, Mike Pagliarulo, Brian Fisher, Dan Pasqua, Rich Bordy, Joe Niekro, Phil Niekro, Bob Tewksbury, Dennis Rasmussen, Scott Bradley, Dale Berra, Marty Bystrom, Andre Robertson. Got all-star cards of Mattingly, Ricky Henderson, Dave Winfield, Ron Guidry. Got a record breaker of Phil Niekro and a turn back the clock card of Roger Maris in 61. So we got the famous wood panel cards now of the 87 set. Team leaders, Lou Piniella, Don Mattingly, Ricky Henderson, Willie Randolph, Dave Winfield, Dave Righetti, Ron Guidry, Mike Pagliarulo, Rod Scurry, Claudel Washington, Ron Kittle, Henry Cotto, Tommy John, Joe Skinner, Doug Drabeck, I think that's his rookie card. Mike Easler, Juan Espino, another guy I really don't remember. Mike Fishlin, Brian Fisher, Bobby Meacham, Al Palato, Scott Nelson, Joe Negro, Dennis Rasmussen, Gary Renicky, Bob Shirley, Tim Stoddard, Bob Tewksbury, Wayne Tollison, Butch Weiniger, Dan Pasqua, Paul Zavella, All-Star cards of Don Mattingly and Dave Righetti. Got an 86 record breaker for the most saves from Dave Righetti that season. Some high numbers here, I guess. Charles Hudson, Cecilio Guante, Mark Salas. Got to turn back the clock of 70s from 77 for Reggie. And these are the glossy All-Star cards of Willie Randolph, Don Mattingly, Dave Winfield, and Ricky Henderson. This is 88 now. Team leaders, Lou Piniella, Dave Winfield, Rick Cerrone, John Candelaria, Don Mattingly, Phil Lombardi, Richard Dotson, Cecilio Guante, who Billy Martin just totally ruined his arm, Bill Gullickson, Charles Hudson, Tommy John, Mike Pagliarulo, Ron Kittle, Roberto Kelly, who got traded later for Paul O'Neill, Dan Pasqua, Willie Randolph, Jerry Royster, Len Cicada, Rafael Santana. Yeah, he was a Yankee for a little bit after the Mets. Joel Skinner, Wayne Tollison, Tim Stoddard, Don Slaught, Steve Trout, Gary Ward, Claudell Washington. Some All-Star cards of Willie Randolph, Don Mattingly, Dave Winfield. We got a glossy card here of Winfield. Okay, never mind. I'm sorry. Bobby Meacham, Ron Guidry. Future Stars card of Al Leiter, Wayne Tollison, Ricky Henderson, Pat Clement, Rick Rhoden, Neil Allen, Dave Righetti, Mike Easler, Henry Cotto, Brad Arnsberg. We got a record breakers card here. We got to turn back the clock to 1973 of Ron Blomberg when he first became a DH for the first time. Finally, 1989, another set I really like a lot. The Yankees team leader card, Dallas Green, Dave Winfield, Dave Righetti, Don Mattingly, Ron Guidry, Ricky Henderson, I think that's his last Yankee card, Willie Randolph, Mike Pagliarulo, Pat Clements, Dave Island, Alvaro Espinoza, Charles Hudson, Mel Hall, Luis Aguayo, Jimmy Jones, Roberto Kelly, Dave LaPointe, Al Leiter, Bobby Meacham, Dale Mahoric, Hippolyto Pena, Clay Parker, Neil Allen, John Candelaria, Bye-Bye Balboni was back for another term with the Yankees, Rafael Santana, Steve Shields, Joel Skinner, Don Slaught, Gary Ward, Randy Velarde, I think that's his first card, Wayne Tollison, Claudell Washington. We got All-Star cards of Dave Winfield and Don Mattingly, Jack Clark, Rick Rhoden, Jesse Barfield, Chuck Carey, Rich Dotson, Tommy John, Bob Guerin, who's now a manager, Lee Guterman, Lance McCullers, and finally to close it off, Steve Sax, first Yankee card. So that's all the Yankee cards I have so far from 1950. 1957 is my earliest year through 1980. So now let's take a look at my goals for 2026. So the first thing I want to do is finish my Topps 80s Yankees team set run. I don't have much to go, so hopefully I can get that knocked off pretty quickly in a year. Then I want to start my run on 1970s and 1990s Yankees team sets. As you saw, the 70s, I have a good bulk of them. I just need a few probably a few more cards here and there. Once I do that, though, I can get that taken care of. Then I want to get to 350 New York Yankee bobbleheads. I'm in the 320s right now. 350 I should be able to get to by the end of the year. So on my player PCs, I want to focus back on these guys. Reggie Jackson, Tino Martinez, Aaron Judge. Those are the 3 baseball. I'm also allowing myself one of the other sports. So Chad Pennington for football, Patrick Ewing for basketball, and Mike Bossy for hockey. And my secondaries is going to be Roberto Clemente and Mike Schmidt, Jamison Brunson for basketball, and Martin Brodeur for hockey. I don't really have a secondary for football. I suppose it would be Wayne Corbett. I want to start building Topps team sets of the Jets, Islanders, and the Knicks. That's also going to be secondary to the Topps runs that I'm working on for the Yankees. I want to collect more Yankees memorabilia, like pennants, which I have, but I want more. I want to get more statues, vintage ads, figurines, game use stuff if I can afford it. There's a great channel called The Stuff of Greatness that I've been watching this past year, and Mark Steinberg's collection is absolutely awesome. I encourage you, if you haven't seen this channel yet, to check it out. Finally, get more involved in the community. Now, what I mean by that is I haven't really been, liking a lot of the videos I watch, because I do watch them on television, or commenting on that and making friends. A lot of my friends who were on YouTube are no longer here. See, now this is going to be my 20th year on YouTube. I started in October 2006, and I've been here on YouTube ever since. I try to make videos as much as possible, so I want to get back active in the community, making friends, trading with people, and stuff like that. The friends I do have, I value greatly. You know who you are. Thank you so much for your support on everything you guys have done, and I want to get more involved in the community in 2026. So guys, that's the video. It's been 27 minutes. If you guys lasted this long, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great weekend. If you like the video, if it's your first time here and you like the video, please hit that thumbs up and click on subscribe, and for more videos just like the one you've seen. Hope you guys have a great week up ahead, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.